Hello everyone and welcome to Midlife Crisis, the show where I talk about every major DC crossover event in chronological order. Last week we talked about the first story featured in the miniseries Countdown to Adventure, and this week we are going to be talking about the backup story that features the character The Forerunner. The Forerunner made her debut in issue 46 of Countdown, and if you want to see a more detailed version of what she got up to during that event, you can go and watch my Countdown videos. But I'll give you a quick rundown for anyone that isn't interested in watching Countdown and just wants to see this video and see her backstory. So far, all we know about Forerunner is that she doesn't have an actual name, because Forerunners are the name of the entire race. The Forerunners were created by the Monitors, and their job was to do the dirty jobs that the Monitors don't want to do themselves, which is normally going to other Earths and destroying people that shouldn't exist because they come from an alternate reality. As time went on, the Monitors put an end to this kind of practice and no longer needed the Forerunners as much as they used to, and eventually they just abandoned the Forerunners altogether. However, one Monitor in particular rebelled against the other Monitors' ideals and wanted to reinstate the idea of going around and finding people that shouldn't exist because they come from other realities and destroying them. So he found one of the Forerunners and he gave them the task of tracking down the characters Jason Todd and Donna Troy, because those characters shouldn't exist due to time anomalies and continuity. This Forerunner failed at her job to kill them, and so that Monitor abandoned her, and so she was left with nothing. And that's when the character Monarch appeared to her and asked her to join him in his crusade to destroy all the Monitors, because he knows that she wants revenge against them for abandoning her. So he wants her help to destroy all the Monitors and help him take over the multiverse. This Forerunner also wanted to eradicate all of the other Forerunners in order to stick it to the Monitors. And that's when Monarch reveals to her that he's already killed all the Forerunners. And that pushes her even more to join Monarch, because now all that's left is to kill the Monitors. And once she's killed the Monitors, she'll finally have gotten her revenge. And that's everything we know about the character up to this point, which is why we're going to be talking about this backup story in Countdown to Adventure, because it explains the origins of the Forager and goes deeper into what she gets up to during Countdown. So without further ado, let's get straight into the story. Written by Justin Gray with art by Fabrizio Fiorentino, our story begins in the Bleed, where Monarch and Forerunner speak to each other, and Monarch wants to know about Forerunner's origins and the origins of her planet, so she begins to explain these origins to him. It's revealed that this Forerunner does in fact have a name. Her name is Viza Aziv, and she comes from Earth 48. Earth 48 is currently a war-torn planet led by somebody known as the Thought Mother, who is the lead female of the Forerunners, and they have telepathic abilities which they had gotten from the Martians. Because when it comes to the Forerunners, there are 9 houses that surround Earth 48, and these houses are made up of different species, like the Martians, the Saturnians, the Mercurians. Many years ago, these different races were in constant wars with each other, and that's when the Monitor decided to break it up and say, hey, you gotta figure out how to sort out this whole problem, because all you're doing is just killing each other and fighting each other all the time, and it's not helping anybody. So they decide to make Earth a battleground to sort out their differences. So they rename it War World, and whenever each of the races have a problem with each other, they go down there and they fight each other. These fights went on for centuries, and sometimes the fights would end with a couple of survivors, and those survivors would go off together and continue surviving, and as the years went on, they would breed with one another, because they were all made up of the different races, so they would breed with each other and evolve as time went on. As the years went on, they evolved into the race that we know now as the Forerunners, and they grew sick of the Nine Houses sending their people to Earth constantly having wars. They started getting sick of it, so they wanted to stop it. And their only way to stop it, in their eyes, was to eradicate the other Nine Houses entirely. So one day, some representatives of the Martians and the Saturnians came down to Earth, met with the Forerunners, and the Forerunners slaughtered them all. And this caused the Nine Houses to decide that they need to invade Earth and eradicate the Forerunners altogether, because the Forerunners are threatening their tradition. So a massive battle between the Nine Houses and the Forerunners happens. There's a lot less Forerunners than there are the other races, but the Forerunners are so powerful because they have the genes of these other races all combined. So they managed to slaughter almost everyone of the Nine Houses, except for 9 people, one from each house. And so through pressure and aggression, they convince the Nine Houses to sign a peace treaty to no longer have their battles on Earth, and just put a stop to that altogether. Ever since then, the Nine Houses have seen the Forerunners as the perfect life mates, because they're the perfect specimen, so they all want to breed with them, so they can create the perfect warriors. But as years went on, 8 of the Nine Houses eventually gave up on trying to capture the Forerunners because it was impossible. They're too strong. The only house that hadn't given up was the Mercurians. So one day, they came to Earth 48 in order to find a Forerunner to capture, and the Forerunner that they came across was Viz. Thanks to her telepathy and invisibility that she had inherited from her Martian DNA, she was able to get the jump on the Mercurians, and she proceeded to fight them and slaughter them despite them begging her to stop, because that's how much hatred the Forerunners have to the other houses. She kills them all and informs her allies that the job is done, and that's when she meets one of the monitors for the first time. The monitor comes to Earth to meet with Viz so that he can pick her to be their Forerunner, to be their very own mercenary who they can send out to deal with the things that they don't want to deal with. And Viz is grateful because this means that she's the chosen one, and that's an insane title to have to live up to. In the present, this is when Monarch reveals to Viz that her race have all been killed and that she is the only Forerunner left. It turns out she wasn't the only warrior that was hired by the monitors to do dirty work for them. There's another character called Dark Angel. Dark Angel is an alternate universe version of Donna Troy, an evil mirror version of her who once had the goal to go around and kill all the Donna Troys of every reality. She almost succeeded in doing so, but the Titans destroyed her. Well, it turns out that she's still alive, and that she was the one that killed the Forerunners because she was told by the monitors to do so. He also reveals to Viz that the Forerunners' existence wasn't an accident like she believed. The monitors created them on purpose. They did the whole thing with the Nine Houses, making them have battles on Earth, hoping that the survivors would breed a new race that they could use, and that race turned out to be the Forerunners, so it was all done on purpose. I suspect the breeding program that genetically mixed 9 races also created something unexpected, something that they lost control of, that terrified them. I think that something is you. And so Monarch is revealing to Viz that he believes that the Monitors are going to do whatever they can in order to find her and destroy her, because she's too powerful for them to control. Monarch sends Viza to different Earths in order to recruit people into his army. These people are often evil, psychopaths, killers, because that's what he believes he needs in order to kill the Monitors and take over the universe. The Earth she gets sent to this time is one controlled by Nazis, because there's like 3 of those in the DC universe. This Earth very much reflects her own Earth, where the Nazis take people away and kill them to try and breed the best people. You know, like they did in real life. Monarch doesn't want Forerunner to focus on killing the Nazis and instead wants her to focus on finding the people to recruit. But Forerunner is like, yeah, you know, killing a few is gonna help some people regardless, so I'd rather do that. She starts running through killing Nazis. She does this in order to get the attention of Superman and the Justice League of this Earth, who are all Nazis. I believe this Superman is supposed to be the same one that was in the Havoc and the Extremists miniseries that I covered in a previous video, because that series also featured a Nazi Superman. Most of these characters are just the character you know, but they are a Nazi. However, one in particular is different in an interesting way. The Wonder Woman on this Earth is a Nazi, but at the same time, she's not Greek, she's Norse, because she talks about how she lives for Odin and works for him, which is interesting. You know, at least that's something different. One by one, this Justice League all fights the Forerunner. She takes out the Flash by creating a crevice in front of him while he runs, which sends him tripping and flying into a train. She then fights Hawkman and Hawkwoman, where she smashes Hawkman's mace and kicks him in the face, knocking him out. And then she rips off Hawkwoman's wing, which is amazing. Just goes whack. Wonder Woman attacks her with her lasso and smashes her into a building before Runner comes smashing back out and punches Wonder Woman in the face. And that's when she gets blasted by Superman. I guess that punch was enough to take out this Wonder Woman because she doesn't show up again. She's knocked out now. Viza reveals to Superman that she bought kryptonite from someone just for this very occasion. So she throws a bunch of kryptonite shards at him, which stab into his chest, almost killing him. And Monarch tells her to take the kryptonite out because they don't want this Superman to die, because they need him for his army. The Monitors see what's going on and decide that they need to send Dark Angel after Viza and Monarch so that they can stop them from recruiting all of these horrible people from all these different Earths. And Viza makes her feelings about this very clear to Monarch, where she believes that recruiting all of these psychopaths is a bad idea. Because when you have an army filled with killers and psychopaths, it's guaranteed that they're gonna start betraying each other, and then you're just having battles within your own army. She makes it very clear to Monarch that she is not his servant, and that her role is to train these psychopaths into proper soldiers. We get a nice little shot of Monarch's stormtrooper army standing down below. The next Earth that Forerunner is sent to recruit people is Earth 33. Now this Earth is really cool because it's run entirely by magic, and everyone who lives on it is a magic user. The heroes, the villains, and these heroes are known as the League of Sages. They consist of Shade, Batmage, Blackbird, Lady Flash, Kal-El, Terra, Weather Wizard, and Starman, and they are all led by a character known as Oracle. Oracle warned them that Viza would come to their Earth, and told them that Viza would be responsible for their destruction, and so when she arrives, they try to kill her. Batmage, Shade, and Blackbird all fight Viza, and during the fight it's revealed that Batmage's face looks like a bat, for reasons that we will discover later. That's when Kal-El shows up and fights Viza, Viza uses her G-Boon attack against him, which is powerful enough to fight through Kryptonian magic and break his Kryptonian armor. But that's when Terra and Weather Wizard work together to grab Viza, and Starman comes in, kicking her in the back, knocking her to the floor, and they take her away so that she can come face to face with Oracle, and Oracle will decide what they should do with her. We then get to see a flashback of a young Viza during her training days on Earth 34, where as a child, she would viciously fight these monstrous aliens on the planet, and the other Forerunners that were with her noticed that she was different. There was something different about her. She was more ferocious, she was more relentless, and that's probably why the Monitors ended up choosing her over all of the other Forerunners. It was her willingness to do whatever was necessary in order to survive. One of the monsters attacks her, and this is when we get to see just how brutal Viza really is, even when she was a little child. She grabs the alien's head and rips it straight off of its shoulders, and then throws it into the other monster. It turns out Viza is dreaming about her past when she is woken up by Bat Sage. She's revealed to be hanging upside down like a bat in some kind of containment cage. We learn about Bat Sage's backstory when it's revealed that his parents were killed by Cobblepot, a dark mage. And to add insult to injury, Cobblepot was the one who transformed Bat Sage's face into a bat, just because he felt like it, to really mess with him. And so now Bat Sage is on a one-man war against all of the dark mages, hoping to get rid of their magic once and for all. Much like the main Earth Batman, this version of the character still doesn't kill. He refuses to kill anyone. He just wants to eradicate their magic so that they can't do anything. Forerunner meets Oracle face to face. We get a shot here of Donna Troy, who is just Donna Troy on this Earth, I guess. Because everyone else looks very different, except for her. Oracle antagonizes Viza and reveals to her that she's actually Dark Angel. Dark Angel came to Earth 33 posing as this character called Oracle in order to manipulate them into believing that when Viza arrives, that she's going to destroy them so that they would turn against her. Instead of just executing Viza, Oracle states that they need to torture her, and Bat Sage is like, that's a little bit far, that's not really within our practices. And Starman backs him up by saying that they don't torture people. And Oracle is like, you know what, Starman? I'm getting a vision. It's of the future. And in this vision, I see you die. And she punches straight through Starman's chest, revealing herself to be Dark Angel. We are then treated to an incredible visual as Starman is sliced in half by Dark Angel, his insides an explosion of planets and stars. Pretty incredible. The rest of the League of Shamans immediately begin fighting Dark Angel because she killed one of their own, and Viza is like, hey, you gotta free me, guys, I can help you. They're a little hesitant at first, but eventually they free her, and Forerunner begins fighting Dark Angel. But Dark Angel's like, nah, I'm super powerful, look at all my powers, I can grow really big. She grows giant, she kills one of the League of Shaman members, just rips him in half with her power, and then smacks Forerunner over the face, sending her flying into a nearby pillar. That's when Shade comes in and is like, shut up, bitch, and sends a bunch of his Shade power into her face, which blinds her. Forerunner takes this opportunity to throw a stone pillar directly at Dark Angel's face, which stabs into her forehead, knocking her unconscious, and before Forerunner can grab her, get some answers out of her or kill her, Dark Angel teleports away. Viz is helped up by the sages, and that's when Monarch shows up and says, Dark Angel has done all this awful stuff to you, so this is a great opportunity for you to get your revenge and join me and my army. And Viz tells Monarch to leave them be, because they're just having a peaceful time living on this earth now. They're peaceful people. They shouldn't be thrust into this war. Monarch says they don't need to join us if they don't want to, but if they don't, they'll probably die in the coming months. As Monarch and Viz leave, it's revealed that Ray Palmer had come to this earth. As we know in the Countdown series, Kyle Rayner, Donna Troy, and Jason Todd are currently searching for Ray Palmer, traveling from Earth to Earth. Ray Palmer himself is also traveling from Earth to Earth. He came to Earth 33 and asked them to join him in the coming war. So now they've been asked by both sides. And Lady Flash reveals that she has the Atom symbol on her arm. So they gotta decide whose side are they gonna be on? Atoms or Monarchs? When Monarch and Viza get back to the bleed, Monarch shoots her in the back saying like, never go against my authority ever again. Viza's like, coward strike from behind. She does a backflip, kicks him in the chest, kicks him in the face. He's like, hey, if you rupture my suit, I'll explode. Viza's like, I might surprise you. I had hoped to add those magicians to our army. The time is drawing near and we're not ready. Fear of death holds no sway over me. If you ever do that again, I will rip open the suit and gut you. It'd be a shame if I eventually have to kill you. Pity I don't feel the same way about you, Monarch. Viza continues her training with the soldiers of Monarch's army, where she tells them that every single punch they throw needs to be a killing blow, otherwise it's over for them. And one of the soldiers says, hey, I got a gun, I can just shoot him from a distance. It's no problem. Viza says, are you sure? Try and shoot me with that gun. And the soldier tries to shoot her, and she launches herself at him, kicking him to the ground and stamping both of his arms, breaking them. Now what are you gonna do with no weapons and no hands? Take him away and replace his arms. And that's when Nazi Batman is like, hey, you're pretty cool, I like the way you did that. Hey, why don't we get dinner together? And Viza says that the way her race works is they pick their own mates. And if anyone tries to force themselves onto them, they have the right to castrate them in public. And Nazi Batman's like, hey, I'm just asking you out for dinner, not to bed. Viza says, neither appeals to me. And then the most random thing happens out of nowhere. Monarch shows up and is like, Viza, the arena tournament is about to begin. I prefer to rest, I have been traveling. You don't seem to understand. I have no further need of you, Viza. What? I no longer have faith in you as a useful member of my army, and therefore, I'm discarding you. Coward, you can't do this! And he shoots a bunch of energy at her, and throws her into space. So, Monarch has discarded her, apparently. It's such a weird way to end this part of the backup story. After being thrown into space by Monarch, Viza is found by a ship full of various aliens, one of which is named Ghana. They're arguing over whether or not Viza should be gotten rid of, because they're not sure if she's dangerous or not. But Ghana explains that they'll have to wait for her to wake up from her coma before they can even figure that out. She's currently in space taking a look at a beacon when suddenly a wormhole appears and a pirate ship emerges from it. This ship is owned by Captain Lazar and his crew. They trap Ghana and the rest of the ship in a tractor beam and then invade it. One of the pirates grabs Ghana and says that she'll be worthy for their captain and throws her into a wormhole. Meanwhile, the other pirates break into the room where Viza is being held, and as they threaten to kill the two aliens that were looking after her, she wakes up and grabs one of them by the throat and tells them to bring her to whoever is their leader. The pirates ignore her and try to kill her, but she fights back and kills them all pretty easily, and then threatens the last remaining pirate to take her to their leader. Otherwise, she will kill him. Ghana meets up with Captain Lazar, where it's revealed that she's actually a bounty hunter who has been hunting him for a long time, and she knows everything about him. But he just laughs in her face and says that if she tries anything, that his crew will gun her down. And at that moment, Viza breaks into the room, and Lazar meets her face to face, and is like, hey, what do you want? What are you doing here? And Viza explains to him that she's the new captain, and then she kicks his head off. Clean. Or actually not that clean. It's pretty messy. Gunner's like, are you kidding me? I spent 6 months working on trying to find this guy. And Viza's like, you can have him, I just want the ship. And then she demands that the pirates get her on the communications so that she can talk to everybody on the ship. And she tells them that they can all come to the cargo hold and fight her, and if they beat her, then they can be the new captain of the ship. So they all go to the cargo hold, and then she kills a bunch of the pirates that are in the room with her, and the ones that went to the cargo hold, she opens cargo hold bay and sends them all flying out into space, killing practically everybody on the ship except those that didn't want to challenge her. The only crew members left on the ship alive are the helmsman, whose name is Torag, Valda and Hierophant, and then the engineer, whose name is Neeks. And Neeks is a parasite who was born within the ship while it was being constructed. So Neeks has become one with the ship and is able to talk to Viza telepathically and says, as long as you don't harm the ship, we won't have a problem. Viza reveals that the reason she took over the ship is because she's mad at everything that's gone on in her life, like her race being destroyed and her being abandoned. So now she just wants to kill things just for the sake of it. She then asks Garner what she wants all of her money from bounty hunting for, and Garner explains to Viza that she wants the money so that she can buy back her home planet because it's currently been taken over by warlords who have all of her people as slaves. There's a funny moment where Torag is just bragging about everything he can do so that Viza doesn't kill him because he wants her to see that he's useful. And she's like, don't worry, Torag, like, I'm not gonna kill you. Viza is then alerted to some new enemies for her to face, and those new enemies are Thanagarians, and she sees their ships approaching hers. The Thanagarians arrive and call into Viza's ship, telling her that they need to give her the ship because they've been looking for Captain Lazar for a long time. And she tells them that Lazar is dead, and that his entire crew is dead, and that they can find their corpses out in space. The Thanagarians are like, yep, we found the corpses, but you still need to give us the ship because that's protocol. And Viza says, you can have the ship if you beat me in battle. If your leader beats me in battle, then you can have the ship. And it's revealed that the leader of the Thanagarian ship that she's talking to is Golden Eagle, who is an established enemy of Hawkman. Viza brings Torag with her to meet with Golden Eagle because she doesn't want to give Lazar's crew a chance to get away if she leaves the pilot there, because she doesn't fully trust them yet. Golden Eagle gives her one more chance to give up the ship and she refuses, so they begin fighting, and he's thrown off by the fact that she isn't fighting him one-on-one. She's playing with him, jumping over him, fighting his guards, fighting him, but in a dirty kind of way. He sees it as disrespectful, but she's having so much fun fighting him that she sees him as worthy of being her mate, because as we know, Viza's race, the Forerunners, pick their mates. And as we learn in this, the Forerunners pick their mates by force, and don't really give their mates much of a choice in the situation. Because after Viza knocks out Golden Eagle, she takes him back to her ship and tells the Thanagarians that he is hers now. And they just have to put up with it. So they agree to her demands, and she tells some of the other crew members to sedate Golden Eagle, and he wakes up in her room. They haven't done it yet, but they're about to. He wakes up in her room, she's naked, and she's preparing to have her way with him. It's really weird. It's... the way it's written, it's borderline sexual assault, but it's written in a way where he does say yes, but he's kind of forced to, because she tells him that she's giving him the right to say no, but that it doesn't matter because she's gonna have sex with him anyway. whether he wants to or not. And so that kind of forces him to say yes. Where he's like, alright, well, I'd be stupid to not say yes then. So they have sex, and then afterward, he feels like he's been drugged, and he even asks her, like, was I drugged at some point? Which just adds to the weirdness of this whole situation and makes me like this character less, Forerunner. She's also real cold about it, because for her it was purely physical, while Thanagarians are known for trying to find a soulmate. That's their whole thing. They find someone who they spend the rest of their lives with. So for Golden Eagle, this was love, and he is disappointed that she didn't feel anything. She's just like, are all Thanagarian males this sensitive? I'm gonna go and find the next guy to bang. Like, that's literally what she said. She's like, I'm gonna keep finding other guys to have sex with, and the other girls are gonna come in and have their way with you? Like, what? Ghana calls into Viza and tells her that she's found one of the things that Viza had asked her to find. Because off-panel, Viza asked Ghana to help her find Monarch and the Source Wall, and they found one of those things, and it's the Source Wall. While exploring the Source Wall, Viza and her crew run into a shuttle that has come from one of the 52 Earths, they're not sure which one. They decide to infiltrate the shuttle, and when they do, they find somebody in cryostasis, a young man whose name is unknown. So they take him back to their ship, and that's when Neeks tells them that they've traveled to another dimension, which is what they were trying to do. But the dimension that they've traveled to is one where a massive war is going on between the Monitors and Monarch and his army of alternate universe characters. Viza sees Monarch and one of the Monitors facing each other, and the Monitor teleports away. So she tells Neeks to give a reading on where the Monitor has gone so that she can go after him. And he tells her that the Monitor is headed off to a little ship shaped like a moon. So she decides to head there alone, but Ghana tells her to take her lightsaber with her so that she has some protection. So she heads to the ship, she draws her lightsaber, and faces the Monitor in battle, where the Monitor tells her that she's insignificant, that she's been trying to find him, and that she's stupid for doing so because she can't beat him. It's impossible. It's like, do you ever wonder why your species has been abandoned by everybody? The Monitors, now Monarch? It's because every time somebody owns you, or you work for someone, they realize just how useless you are, and then they get rid of you, because that's what you deserve. The reason you're fighting me is because you're hoping for some glorious death that will frame you in history. But I'm not gonna give you that. And he zaps her with energy, teleporting her back to the ship, where she tells the crew that she's failed. 3 days later, after their regular activity, which is sex, Viza tells Golden Eagle that she believes the Monitor was right. She's been thinking about it. She really is insignificant. It's like, forget what he said. In light of everything, especially the blind ambition of beings like the Monitor and Monarch, I see that they are as empty and obedient as I was. I don't understand. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters. The entire basis for my society was built on belief in ideas given to us by a false god. I'm free of that now. Suddenly, Neeks comes in contact with Viza and informs her that the ship is losing power, which includes life support, because the Source Wall is draining the power from them. So she gets the crew together and tells them that they're all gonna die soon if they don't do something about this. They gotta find some kind of power source to power the ship. We don't know what it is yet, but that's the next goal. Find a power source so that they don't die. While searching for new fuel for their ship, Viza and her crew find themselves floating in no space, which is outside of the universe. There's nothing there, or at least that's what they thought, until they come across a large grey object, which scans them and then absorbs them, and that's when one of the beings within this object, whose name is ZQ, meets with them on their ship and tells them that This big grey object that they're in is a womb that births planets. And there's a new planet that needs to be born. But in order for it to be born, it needs to be taken to a sun. So she wants Viza and her crew to take this newborn planet to the sun so that it can become a full-grown planet. The only problem is, there's a species of aliens called the Sakians, who are harvesters that go around to different planets and sap them of their life force. So, they'll need to protect the planet from the Sakians. And in exchange for their help, Viza will receive enough energy for the ship to last a lifetime. That's their reward. So she agrees to help the planet. Now there are two ways that they can go about dealing with the Sakians. One is by stopping the Sakians' queen's telepathy from being able to find the planet. And the second option is to go straight to the planet and use Viza's telepathic abilities mixed with one of the other crewmates' telepathic abilities to find the queen on the planet so that they can head straight to her and kill her, therefore ending the Sakians. They decide to go with option B, and so one of Viza's crewmates connects with the planet and begins communicating with it, and the newborn planet tells them something interesting. It tells them that if one of them gives the planet their blood, the planet will be able to create antibodies to protect it against the Sakians. So Viza decides to give this planet her blood. It absorbs her blood. The Sakians arrive. They fight off the Sakians, waiting for the planet to be able to create its antibodies. And that's when these weird beings begin forming from the ground, and it turns out these are the antibodies created by Viza's blood. So the antibodies fight back against the Sakians and destroy them, saving the planet and allowing them to bring it to the star. So they succeed in their job, they receive their crystals, but that's when the crewmate informs Viza that because she gave her blood to the planet to create its antibodies, the planet has been able to create life from her blood, creatures, and a species which is the Forerunners. So her species that was killed is getting another chance at life. But these aren't the same Forerunners that she knew. So these Forerunners have a chance at living a life of peace. And what they advise Viza is that she go and lead them. And so Viza agrees. She says that she wants to lead her species towards a life of peace. And she's willing to give the ship to Ghana so that she can use it to continue her bounty hunting, get the money that she needs in order to buy back her planet from slavery. So Viza heads down to her new planet. She says a heartfelt goodbye to Ghana. Ghana wishes her luck on her journey as the new leader of the Forerunners. And Viza informs her that, for once, she won't need luck. The end. And that's where the story ends. It ends with Viza gaining a new planet and a new species of Forerunners that she's able to lead into a peaceful future. And it's a very nice ending for the character. I wish she hadn't done all of that weird stuff with Golden Eagle earlier that made me dislike the character. Because now getting to the end, I'm kind of like, does she really deserve a happy ending after the way that she operates as a person? But, you know what? Who cares? It's a nice ending. Maybe she'll change her ways. That last scene with her and Golden Eagle did seem like she was becoming more emotionally attached to him, so maybe she'll stop with the weirdness and that whole weird relationship and actually have a proper relationship from now on. I don't know. There's nothing wrong with being in an open relationship. It's just when you're in one where you're essentially forcing the partner to be with you. I didn't enjoy this series as much as the story that featured Adam Strange, Starfire, and Animal Man, but I still enjoyed this story enough that I never felt like, bored or anything while I was reading it. I thought it was pretty good. However, if there's one criticism I had for this book, it was the weird stuff I've already talked about, or the pacing. I found the pacing of the story to be quite bad. Felt like there were some last minute decisions that had to be made because of what was going on in Countdown, where, one moment Viza is working for Monarch, she's heading to planets recruiting people, next moment Monarch just abandons her, and it happens out of nowhere. You're reading the comic, it's going on normally, and then he just shows up and is like, I'm abandoning you, and throws her out into space. It's like, what? And then after that, it becomes a more coherent story about Viza gaining a new identity and a new purpose in life, beginning with her as a pirate and then transitioning to her being a leader of a brand new species, or a new version of her species. So eventually it found its feet, but I think it struggled for a while. Like, the first half of the series was struggling to figure out what it wanted to be. We introduced Dark Angel as this antagonist, and then she gets dropped very quickly. She disappears in that issue, and it acts as if she's gonna come back, but she never does. I didn't even notice that when I was reading the rest of the series. Didn't really think about that. But yeah, she appeared as the overarching antagonist, and then halfway through, she just stops showing up and isn't a part of the plot anymore at all. I wouldn't be surprised if the second half of the series wasn't originally meant to happen. The ending was probably going to be the same, but I think the way we got there was different than what was originally planned. I don't think any of this pirate stuff was planned originally. There was probably a lot more Dark Angel stuff, a lot more stuff with Monarch that would then lead to this ending. Because, yeah, all the pirate stuff felt very tacked on. It worked, but it didn't feel natural. It didn't feel like a natural progression for Viza. Overall, I think it's worth checking out this series if you're interested in this character. And regardless of whether or not you're reading Countdown as well. Because I think it works as a standalone story. It does tie into Countdown, but not enough where it makes it crucial that you have to read that in order to understand this. Like, you can enjoy this on its own, and I think it was pretty decent. Nothing crazy, but not bad either. A couple of rough edges, but overall, pretty competent story, pretty good art. Yeah, I would recommend checking it out at least. At least check out the first couple of issues, see if it draws you in, and if it doesn't, then you don't have to read it, it's fine. I hope you enjoyed this week's episode. Next week, we are going to be covering the next mini-series tie-in to Countdown, Salvation Run. That is the next mini-series that I'm going to be covering. It features the plotline in Countdown where villains are being kidnapped by a mysterious organization, being sent to somewhere called Salvation, and we'll discover what that is when I cover the miniseries. So that's what I'm doing next week. Hope you enjoyed this week's episode, and I'll see you then. Have a good one.